Hi, my name is Nick Sullivan, and today we're going to be going over the intellectual disability, emotional, and behavior disorders. So what is it? It's an emotional disability characterized by the inability to maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and or teachers. In the case of Patrick was hitting, pinching, biting. He had mood swings. He had aggressive behaviors. He had loud screamings. He had need for food. He was impatient, and he had a lot of fear and anxiety types of behavior. So he can be classified as having an emotional or behavior disorder. There is no real strength to this disorder. Most symptoms vary between students or patients with these disorders, but there is no real strength. There is also no real diagnostic testing for this disorder. Parents and doctors must consider all the following that can contribute to a student having emotional and behavior disorders, like family, culture, school. So some adaptations to the class that can be done to help students with emotional behavior disorders is provide a classroom with minimal distractions visually and aesthetic, seat students away from each other or materials away from students that tend to throw objects or hurt other students, provide dim lighting, provide students with adequate space when learning in groups, and provide visual boundaries to help students with personal space. Other adaptations to the curriculum would be allow students to have extra time, allow students to choose what materials they wanted to use, and allow them to choose what types of activities they would want to do. Giving kids options would make students happier. Also, rewriting all the directions clearly on the board will give students references back to what they want to learn and how to learn and what to do. Apply learning to real-life situations. Students are best when they are able to connect it to real-life situations, and also provide smooth transitions and keep students keep track of their work or assignments. So some symptoms and what it could look like in the classroom is students getting easily annoyed, often appearing angry, refusing to do work, having difficulty learning, general feelings of unhappiness, feeling of fear or anxiety, and learning difficulties caused by unhealthy factors. So some teaching strategies to help this would be to establish rules and write rules on the board so that all students are able to see and reference back to them. Provide a positive, structured learning environment which supports growth and self-esteem for students. Also allow mini breaks and fair treatment for all materials. Use motivational strategies. Established routines are highly effective to give students structure. Transitions are again important, and following these transitions day to day are very important to create structure, and use examples again from real life concepts. So with communicating skills and friendships, teach these students with emotional behavior disorders from a young age how to socialize. Teachers need to work with students and their peers for positive interactions. They need to model and reference appropriate social skills, so teachers need to always be modeling to their students with emotional behavior disorders what is going on and the appropriate way to do this. Students with emotional behavior disorders usually have low interaction skills with their peers and their friends. They have difficulty making friends and keeping friends. Some technology that can also be used in the classroom to help students with emotional behavior disorders include calculators, audiobooks, computers with different softwares that allow students to talk or type what they want, timers to help remind students, voice recognitions, graphic organizers, and social skills programs. So I have developed 2 different lesson plans about emotional behavior disorders and how to teach students with emotional behavior disorders. These also include sensory integration, so these lessons allow students to pick up, and it's very hands-on materials. It allows students to walk around the room, and it gives students the options of what to do. The transition into adulthood can be difficult for students with emotional behavior disorders. They tend to have high dropout rates and difficulty keeping jobs, and many have high unemployment. This is due to the fact that they have poor social skills. That's why it is desperately important for teachers to maintain and provide students with model behaviors. So the 2 lesson plans, one of them is about reducing, reusing, and recycle. The other one is about weather and the seasons. These lessons are very hands-on and they involve movement. It is a very positive, structured learning environment. All the directions are written on the board at the beginning, and I demonstrate the lesson between each step. One step is done at a time. It is hands-on, it involves movement, it includes rewards if students are doing good. It motivates students to do better, and it is also learning while they're having fun. The first lesson would be reducing, reusing, and recycle. So again, all the directions would start with the written on the board of what is going to happen and the procedures going to be used. We would introduce the topic with a lesson and a short video about what reducing, reusing, and recycle means. And then we would demonstrate the activity. So students would have a variety of objects and they would walk around the room. So students would be giving, for example, a piece of paper or an empty can and have to replace it in the appropriate bin around the room, whether that bin is reducing, reusing, or recycling. Students would pick what bin they would want it in, so they would walk back and forth between the bins and the objects and place the objects in different bins. This way the students are engaged, they are able to walk around the room, they can choose what object they want to do at what time. I would of course demonstrate what to do before it, and at the end all the items would be we would go over all the items with the appropriate spot on which they go. The second lesson was weather and the seasons. So again, there would be a video instruction and some background information given. All the instruction would be written on the board about what to do and when to do it. We would go step by step with each student. Students would be allowed to choose what activity they want to do and when they want to do it. So the first activity, they would choose what index cards and what materials they want to use first. So in the first activity of the lesson, there would be different seasons and different types of weather different types of weather, different types of seasons, and different types of weather, like rain, snow, sun, the names of these different types of weather, and then pictures of the seasons with different types of weather that happened in the seasons, and students would pick up the cards and match them with the appropriate name for each of them. The second part of the activity would be where I would be calling out different types of weather, and around the room would be different stations. One would be fall, winter, summer, and the last one would be spring in each of the corners of the room. I would say a type of weather like snow, and students would walk around the room to which season they believe snow would happen in. And then at the end, all of these materials would be going over, and all the lesson would be, again, revised and summarized for the students. This way, they are able to tell what weather goes where and the appropriate factors. So students with emotional behavior disorder would fit these 2 lessons because it's hands-on, it's very interactive, it allows students to take breaks when they want to. All of the assignments are written on the board. There is always room for me to help students when I can, and students are always offered to ask me questions throughout each lesson. They are also able to work together or work alone, whether they choose to. The main part of the lesson is that students are able to choose what they want. That way it makes them the happiest they can be while still learning. Thank you.